My name is Kellen Griffin, and this is my AEP 858 introduction video. So some of my personal demographics that I've got is just my childhood. I grew up in Hayes. I lived there my whole life, and I played a lot of soccer while I was a kid. And then I went to college at Fort Hayes, and I played soccer at Fort Hayes. And I was also a math and secondary education major the entire time that I was there. And while at Fort Hayes, I met my wife in one of my education classes. And then after college, we moved to Lawrence and got married. And towards the end of my college, I got my job at Shawnee Heights for after graduation, and I've been there this is my third year now, and I'm a math teacher there, and we have the integrated series, so integrated math 1, integrated math 2, and integrated math 3, and that's in place of the more traditional algebra 1, geometry, algebra 2. I'm also on the Avid site team, and I'm an assistant soccer coach. And so for my critical reflection of what our school does, we used to do map tests. We don't really do those anymore at the high school. They still do them at the middle school and lower levels, but we don't do them at the high school anymore because we do the pre-ACT 9, the pre-ACT 10, and then the PSAT for all freshmen and sophomores. The PSAT is just given to those that we think could maybe be National Merit Scholars that they choose to sign up because they want to do it. And we do all that on the same day, though. And then we've got our Kansas State assessments, which I would say we actually don't really look at that much for information, which is kind of surprising to me because I know when I was growing up that was a huge deal, but that was also in the No Child Left Behind era. The big thing that we really look at is the ACT, though, our KISA accreditation, our AWL list, and the Kansas Communities That Care survey. So our principal's really big into data, and he really likes to look at the ACT and see where we're doing well, where we're doing poorly. Is it the top end of our kids that are doing as good as the other top end of kids, or is it our bottom end that's doing, do we have a larger bottom end, or like where do we fall in terms of the other places around us, and where do we need to improve, whether that's math, English, science, or reading. And then our KISA accreditation, we look at our graduation rate, what we can do to help improve that, and then also how we're preparing the kids for after, and if they're making it in that second year of college or not. And then our AWL list actually comes out every Wednesday, and so if a student has 2 Fs, they are on the AWL list, and so what that means is they're not able to participate in athletics, so they can't play in the games, and they can't even go to like sporting events. They can't go to the musical. If they're in musical, they can't be in the musical. They can't go to any school dances. And so that also helps us, though, to look at and be like, all right, this student's struggling. We should be helping this student because it's not just one class, it's multiple classes. And so then we can actually see where we need to improve, not just as an individual teacher, but as a whole. And then our Kansas Communities That Care surveys, our sophomores and seniors take that, and that talks to us about like if they're thinking about social and emotional things, basically, that if they're thinking about suicide or if they're doing drugs and those types of things, and what we need to do as a school to actually help with that. And we did actually implement one thing that related to that recently, and then we're going to do a bunch of work with that at our next PD day coming up in a few weeks. And then so for my critique, I use concept quizzes in my class, and so it's over each section that we teach, and students get a score from 0 to 5 based upon what I think their understanding is, and then that helps me to determine, okay, all of these students did poor, so I need to go back and reteach, or just these individual ones do, so I need to work with them some more, or everybody's pretty good, and we can keep on moving. And then homework grading, which is more of an individual piece for them, but it's still a piece for them to use as data for themselves. Okay, I'm poor at this, and this is specifically what I messed up on, because we do reflections with them, and so then they know what they need to work on and improve with, and if they need to come get help from me. So that's more of an individual piece for them. And then some informal methods, like when we do our bell work at the beginning of class, does this student get it or not, when I ask them questions. And so it's not really collecting actual data, it's just my opinion based upon what I'm seeing from them. And then so my plan to learn and improve upon the data that I use in my classroom is just taking this class and being able to learn from this class and engage in the discussions with other students, and actually make sure I'm staying on top of all the assignments and not just rushing through everything. And then I'd also like to be able to implement some more formal methods of collecting data, whether that's from exit tickets and actually like giving them a score that wouldn't be for a grade, but just giving them a score to see where they're at, so that way I know and what I need to improve on. Thanks for listening to my video.